That was videotape of last Saturday night in Las Vegas. Here's a live look at what's going on tonight in a city where the temperature has risen about 10 or 15 degrees since a week ago. Summer is rapidly creeping in to Las Vegas. Chad Dawson, who lives in New Haven, Connecticut, arrives here for his rematch with Antonio Tarver at the summit of the light heavyweight division. Dawson beat Tarver in their first meeting last October, but the Magic Man from Tampa, Florida, has maybe the best rematch record in the sport. Two rematch wins over Roy Jones, a rematch win over Eric Harding, and another rematch win over Glenn Johnson. He is unbeaten in these situations. Meanwhile, let's get ready for Chad Dawson and Antonio Tarver in the light heavyweight division. Here's a look at the light heavyweight picture, just as was the case a week ago with the 140-pounders. Ample illustration here as to why it is pure folly to pay attention to governing bodies and title belts. Chad Dawson has 1/4 of the title picture. Zolt Erdai has held a title belt for quite some time. At 30-0, he is probably the least respected, most ignored, unbeaten, longtime title holder in the history of the sport. Adrian Deacano of Romania has a title belt because Chad Dawson was willing to give up a title belt rather than to fight him when he chose to fight Tarver instead. And Hugo Garay is an Argentine fighter with 3 losses. When experts list the top 10 fighters in the light heavyweight division, he barely makes the list, if at all, but he has a title belt. The real big names in the light heavyweight division, Joe Calzaghe is retired. That's why his picture appears in black and white. Fighters are still trying to call him out, including Dawson, but he shows no indication he's coming back. Bernard Hopkins is still trolling for a big fight, but only on his terms, at his price, when and where he wants to fight. The left out is Glenn Johnson. Many believe he's the one who deserves a rematch against Dawson, but he is constantly ignored. Meanwhile, we told you that Chad Dawson already has a win over Antonio Tarver. Let's take a look at what happened last October across town at the Palms Hotel here in Las Vegas. It was not a particularly eventful fight, but a fight in which Dawson showed his hand speed, his athletic talents, his combination punching, good skills. You're looking at action from round 3, which was probably Tarver's best round in the fight. Overall, Dawson was able to land sharper punches, land more often, and even though working more economically than Tarver, who threw a lot of punches, particularly in the 11th and 12th rounds, was the easy winner on the scorecards. Easy enough that he himself suggests that he has to motivate himself in different ways to be ready to fight Tarver a second time, aware as he is of Tarver's terrific rematch record. So now turning to our World Championship boxing expert, Emmanuel Stewart. We've already mentioned that Dawson says, okay, I beat him once easily. I got to get up for him again. Tarver has that great rematch record. Does Dawson have to be even better than he was in October to win again?
Yes, Jim, I think he has to be better. First of all, I think that Antonio Tarver, he said by his own admission after watching the Johnson fight, when he had fought with Dawson, he was overconfident, and he underestimated. For this fight, I'm quite sure he's going to be much better prepared. Dawson expects that. That's why Dawson is going to have to fight a much better fight, and he's prepared to do it. And also, you look at that great ego of Tarver, which is really definitely dampened, as he said. You know, he's being brought in as a stepping stone. That is not what he is supposed to be. He is a star. The fact that he brought 16 people to the fighters meeting with him, whereas only 2 people were with Dawson, shows his ego. So I think it's going to be a much more difficult fight for Dawson.
Great point. You know, as we look at Chad Dawson, the reason to be here and cover this fight for HBO, Max Kellerman, is that Dawson's too good to be ignored anymore. We already showed you the absence of competition in the division, so he talks about being the best fighter at 175 and 168, the division below. How's he going to prove it?
It's a good question because he's in a rematch in a fight that no one really wants to see. But as you mentioned, Jim, the choice was either see Dawson against Tarver, who exercised a rematch clause in his contract with Dawson in the original fight, or don't see Dawson at all, and Dawson is too good to be ignored. Really, the rematch tonight should be with Glenn Johnson, who's being ducked by everyone, ignored by everyone, and many people feel beat Dawson in their first fight also, as you mentioned, Jim. I would say this. What Dawson has to do tonight against Tarver, the bottom line is he has to win. But right above that bottom line, on the second to last line, he has to look even better than he did in the first fight, which is, you know, a tall order against a guy in Tarver who's always fought better in rematches.
And here's another challenge for Dawson as he tries to become a big star in the sport. The backstory, the personal story, has no blood, guts, and bullets. Instead, it's nice. It's about his bond with his father, who was himself a professional prize fighter back in the day.
I leave for camp tomorrow, Sunday morning, taking off. You know, got to leave the family, the kids, go do my job. You know, fighting is what I do, and I love it. So, I mean, that's how I support my family. So, I'm in the air tomorrow.
It's a familiar routine for a fighter, leaving family behind at home to train for a fight. For Chad Dawson, though, the symbolism runs deeper than most. Years ago, family brought him to the ring, and today, family is what he says keeps him going back.
When I was 6 years old, my parents moved up here. My father could find better work. We thought it would be better, but it ended up being worse.
Dawson grew up in the unseen slums of New Haven, Connecticut.
I have 6 other siblings. There was 7 of us staying in a 2-bedroom apartment.
We struggled for a long time, you know what I mean? For a long time.
Hey, what's up, Dad, Chad? What's going on, baby? You ready? God bless you, man.
I lost a lot of friends to the streets, and you know, half of them are in jail, or they're dead, or you know, they're on drugs real bad.
A lot of kids don't get to say they grew up with both of their parents. My father was there every day of my life.
This is my father right here, you know, holding that belt, proud, like always.
Chad's father, Rick Dawson, works as a security guard at his old high school in New Haven. But before that, he was a pro fighter. His career was brief, but it lasted long enough to ignite a passion in his son.
I bring all 5 of my boys to the gym. You know, we would go to the gym and work out, you know, every day.
When I was in 2nd grade, the teacher would ask us, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I would always tell him, I want to be just like my father. I want to be a boxer like my father.
Sometimes I spar with Chad, you know, beat the crap out of Chad. Used to make him cry. You know, he would get mad because he couldn't hit me. But he got better and better.
He pushed me to be a fighter. My whole career I owe to my father, you know?
I used to push him because I knew he could do it. I knew he could do it.
Chad Dawson turned pro in 2001, and in 2007, the potential Rick Dawson had seen in his son came to fruition when he challenged for a world title against Thomas Adamek.
And the new light heavyweight champion of the world, Chad Dawson.
When I saw the tears roll down his face, I couldn't help but cry myself, so it was very emotional, very emotional. He did what I didn't do. My son is a world champion, the champion of the whole wide world, the whole world.
I owe all of my success to my father. He's the guy who brought me to the gym and put me in the ring, you know? He showed me what a man's supposed to do when a man has kids. I'm gonna do the same thing for my family.
And so now in the suburban hamlet of Hamden, Connecticut, just a few miles north of New Haven, the world champion doubles as a top-notch family man. He and his wife, Crystal, have 3 sons, 5-year-old Prince, 2-year-old Chance, and their newest addition, Royal Champion Tiger Dawson, who was born in early March.
I just love my kids, man. Just, you know, those are my trophies.
Chance, look.
It was just days after Royal's birth that the ring beckoned once again, and Chad found himself returning to Vegas to train.
I was home with Tiger for about a week, 6 days before I had to go. You know, you want to be there every day, but you can't.
Prince gets really sad when Chad goes away for a fight.
My dad trains for years and years and years.
It affects him a lot because he misses his dad and he's used to him being here.
I tell him I got a fight coming up. He understands that I gotta win, and I always gotta win. I gotta keep winning in order for him to have a better life.
My dad, they can't.
I got 3 beautiful kids. I got a beautiful wife. You know, what more can I ask for? I can't ask for much more than that.
And the Dawson family seated at ringside. There's a look at the baby, Tiger. And the baby's being held by mother-in-law, Paula Jeffers. Actually, I guess Tiger's grandmother. There's the middle child, Chance, on the lap of his mother, Crystal. And next to Crystal is Chad Dawson's mother, Wanda Dawson. So now you've met the entire Dawson family, because earlier you saw Chad sparring with the eldest son as he readied for the fight. Here's the tale of the tape for Dawson and Tarver. What jumps out at you immediately is the 14-year age advantage for Chad. Is there a more lightly used 40-year-old fighter than Tarver? However, he turned pro at age 28, and for 9 years in a row now, he's never had more than 2 fights per year. They're equal in height. They're equal in arm length measured from the armpit to the end of the fist. Tarver looked utterly starched and dried out, weighing in 3 pounds under the limit yesterday at 172. He's gone up to 185 overnight unofficially. Dawson to 184. Let's take a look at CompuBox numbers from their first fight, and you'll see how Dawson won it, throwing many fewer punches, 246 fewer punches in fact, but landing 10 more for the significantly higher connect percentage, greater efficiency, sharper, better contact, harder punches, easy for the judges to see. Rules of the bout with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
The Chad Dawson-Antonio Tarver fight is scheduled for 12 rounds using the unified rules of the Association of Boxing Commissions. There is no 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight. A case of cut is caused by an accidental headbutt. We go to the scorecards if the 4 rounds have been completed, and you cannot be saved by the bell at any round, including the 12th and final round. Jim!
And here comes the magic man, Antonio Tarver. And Emmanuel mentioned how he brought 16 people to yesterday's fighter meeting. That kind of ego, Emmanuel, operates both ways. It creates tremendous pressure and motivation for Antonio to be good every time he fights, but of course it can be a giant distraction as well.
And that's what he's been known for, is the fact that he sometimes gets too carried away with things that's not even taking place in the ring. As a matter of fact, when he lost the fight to Bernard Hopkins when he was in Atlantic City, I mean, it was so much activity and friends and people they brought all over the country, especially following the movie, you know, he appeared in with Stallone, that we thought that he was out of focus for the fight. But I don't think that's going to be the case tonight. I think he's going to be tremendously focused and trying to live up to his image as a superstar in his own mind.
Only man to beat Roy Jones twice. And the first of those wins was the spectacular knockout left-hand punch that left Jones under the ropes on the canvas. And there are the notable losses, as you see. 2 of them were, or 1 of them was avenged. The Johnson loss, but he never got another chance to fight Bernard Hopkins. And he looks to avenge the Dawson loss right now.
I see he's reunited back with his trainer, Buddy McGirt, who was with him in most of his recent fights, victories.
And here's Chad Dawson, who was trained at one point by Floyd Mayweather, and more recently has gone back and reunited with Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, with whom he says he has a much better bond and much greater communication. There was a moment when Chad Dawson bumped into Floyd Mayweather here in a gym in Las Vegas, got a lot of love and a lot of warmth, and then was surprised when Mayweather, appearing on a Dawson telecast, said, "I think he's the best fighter in the sport." That's high praise, Max.
And maybe a little unfounded, you know. Chad Dawson has, throughout his young professional career, and he's already considered the best light heavyweight in the world, he's looked spectacular early in fights, but usually at some point along the way, before the final bell, something happens where his grade would be somewhere lower than an A overall for the night. He seems to lose focus, and the assignment here tonight is stay consistent.
Boxing star-studded crowd includes Mike Tyson, who's sitting across the ring from us. And now let's go to Michael Buffer for the official introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the Hard Rock Hotel Casino Resort of Las Vegas, Gary Shaw Productions, in association with the Hard Rock and AT Entertainment, are proud to present the main event of the evening, 12 rounds of boxing for the IBF IBO Heavyweight, Light Heavyweight Championship of the World, sponsored by 39X New Lifestyle Clothing, Blood, Sweat, and Bling, and Serendipity. Sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, Chairman Bill Brady, Executive Director Keith Kyle. And now, from the Hard Rock of Las Vegas, for all the fans in attendance, and the millions watching around the world on HBO. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble! Fighting out of the blue corner, wearing black with white, officially weighing 172 pounds. Professional record, 27 victories, including 19 knockouts with 5 defeats. From Tampa, Florida, the challenger, 3-time light heavyweight world champion, Antonio Magic Man Tarver. And fighting out of the red corner, wearing red with black, official weight, 175 pounds. Professional record, a perfect one. 27 fights, 27 victories, including 17 knockouts. From New Haven, Connecticut, the reigning, defending IBF, IBO light heavyweight champion of the world, Bad Chad Dawson.
Hey, gentlemen, you had your instructions in the dressing room. The only thing I want to remind you of now is when I tell you stop, what that means is stop whatever you're doing, give me a clean break. Protect yourself at all times, obey my commands at all times. Anything on the belt is going to be good, on the belt is going to be good. Mr. Tarver, Mr. Dawson, both of you are world-class, professional, championship quality fighters, and I expect you to conduct yourself that way, and I'll accept nothing less. Let's do it.
Can Chad Dawson turn in an A performance tonight and take that next step towards stardom? Can Antonio Tarver find a home for his big left hand, especially on Chad Dawson's somewhat dentable chin?
Dawson was knocked down by Tomas Adamek, knocked down by Glenn Johnson, knocked down by a couple of now forgotten opponents relatively early in his career. That has been a small Achilles heel in his rise to the top of the light heavyweight division. Dawson working his jab early. Now Tarver begins to unleash his. Two southpaws in the ring against each other in the light heavyweight division. 20 years ago, Emmanuel, you almost never saw this. Now we are seeing it more and more and more often, partially because of fighters like Dawson, who is a natural right-hander and has fought in the southpaw stance ever since he walked into a gym.
Yeah, because he was saying that was what his dad was boxing in the southpaw stance, so he picked up on that. Majority of the southpaws that I've been involved with are really right-handed, much like Marvin Hagler was. So many other fighters I work with, they're really, and Mark Kimura. And they just feel comfortable in that position, and if they're the star in the gym, other kids that come in pick up on it and want to be just like them.
And because of famous fighters like Moorer, like De La Hoya, like Miguel Cotto and others, it's becoming a much more popular thing to do, and there may come a time 40 years from now when the overwhelming majority of the fighters in the sport are southpaws.
I could easily see that happen.
And how about the fact that it may logically make more sense? You throw about 75% of your punches with your lead hand. Why not make that your stronger hand?
You're correct. You know, and looking at, even though both of these guys weighed in virtually about the same, and according to the statistics when they measured in, it was identical in height. It just seems like it's Dawson being younger seems to be a little bit more thicker, a little bit more stronger looking, even though that's not the case, but he looks that way to me.
Well, it looked as though Tarver had to make a sacrifice of some sort to make weight. And of course, when he made the Rocky Balboa move, Tarver, while on the set, rose as high as 233 pounds, putting himself in the ironic position of having to acknowledge after the loss to Hopkins that coming back down in weight to the light heavyweight area robbed him of all his physicality. And it was ironic because, of course, he was the one who had derided Roy Jones for making exactly that claim about Jones's performances against him when Jones had gone up to heavyweight to fight John Ruiz.
Well, he's been fighting at the 175 long enough now, but that cannot be an excuse now. He's adjusted to the weight.
You know, so far Tarver is moving his hands more than he did in the first fight, at least early on. But those hands look pretty slow.
But the moving his hands more is exactly the adjustment he made in winning the rematch, for instance, against Glenn Johnson.
And the one thing that was interesting, that even though Dawson is really determined to really win impressively, said this time, He has a lot of respect for Tarver's left hand, though.
Pretty good first round. More sustained combat in this first round than was the case through most of their first fight, where they fought in sporadic skirmishes. What hasn't happened yet is trading. When these two guys fight, a pattern seems to develop where one man mounts an offense and the other waits, and then they take turns.
He got nothing, but I want you to be careful. I want that jab always pumping. All right? Keep pumping and moving your head and keep that defense up. All right? Keep stepping it with the jab. Bend your legs a little bit. All right? Slipping the slide like we're doing. The jab is the key. He got nothing. He got nothing. Speed and your combinations. That's all we can do.
Nope. Go to jab with more confidence. Okay? Step in with it.
Okay. I want to make sure your left hand up here because you're trying to hit with the hook. You ain't got but one hand, T. You got to tag him. Don't back up. You got to finish with the hook. Every time when you throw the right hand. Okay, guys.
When he starts his flurry, drop that hook on him. He's got his left hand right here. So just put the hook around.
Guys, you got your mouthpiece?
Send us out mouthpiece. Send us out mouthpiece.
Well, I called it a pretty good first round, but maybe I was talking too much to get it right. CompuBox couldn't disagree more, as they saw Dawson landing 8 out of 50 and Tarver landing 5 out of 50. In other words, a relatively cautious, inactive first round in which neither fighter got a lot done.
Well, but compared to expectations, Jim, maybe it exceeded your expectations.
No, I think I was just talking too much. But that happens.
Both corners are telling their fighters, be busy with more jabs. It's very interesting. And they're fighting almost like a mirror image of each other the way they're fighting now. Only Dawson seems to be a little bit stronger and more powerful with his punches. But they're fighting exactly the same speed, the same rhythm. In the first fight, Tarver spent more time on defense right about he started to covering up more in a more of a defensive mode. He's not doing that tonight.
When Tarver knocked Roy Jones out in their second fight, he did it by stepping forward and countering a Roy Jones right hand. He has not tried to counter anything Dawson's throwing.
No, both guys are very defensive. They don't really see a really good opportunity to throw punches. They're reluctant to full power punch because it may get caught with something. But Tarver does have a good left hand. He shoots it, and he turns his entire body through when he shoots his left hand. He stretches all the way out.
Body shots by Dawson. Tarver holding his guard up and blocking the upstairs stuff. Now Dawson gets a jab between Tarver's gloves. Tarver lands a right hand himself.
Dawson's got his jab on track this round.
True, but Tarver's blocking a fair number of them.
Yeah, but he's pumping enough that he's landed 3 or 4 solidly that snapped Tarver's head back.
And Dawson got in a good left and right to the body there.
Dawson is outworking him, but I don't see any really clear punches landing that much, really by neither one, just for the most part. But now Tarver's going back to the same style he fought before, but he's moving forward this time, where before he was standing in one spot and backing up. But he's moving forward and trying to force himself into Dawson so he can get a good shot with that left hand.
Dawson got one left hand through in all of that flurry. Tarver remains mostly in a defensive posture whenever Dawson shows offensive intent.
But he's making Dawson throw a lot of punches as he's moving forward on him. And really, as you said, only one left hand came out of that whole combination, probably about 20 punches altogether.
But still, Dawson has been busy enough in this round to quadruple his number of connected punches.
Dawson did land a good right hook on the inside earlier. Meanwhile, Tarver looks like he's getting a little closer with that right hand. With, excuse me, the left hand.
For the bell, guys. Bell! Do that.
Bird warns Dawson for hitting after the bell, appropriately so. Monday, June 15, it's the premiere of the new HBO series, Joe Buck Live. Join the Emmy Award-winning broadcaster as he talks live with some of the biggest names in sports. And on Wednesday, July 15, the night after the baseball All-Star game, it's the premiere of the HBO sports documentary, Ted Williams, a look at the life of the splendid Splinter, baseball great and American icon.
deep breaths. Come on.
Now, when he starts punching now, let your hands go.
All right.
Okay?
You got to let your hands go, T. Don't do the defensive thing, okay?
When you move your feet, he can't hit you.
Very good. Good pressure, but now we got to put the punches with it.
Take a deep breath.
Hands out, mouthpiece.
Okay, let's go.
Well, I said quadruple. That was a bit extravagant, but Dawson, who landed 8 out of 50 in the first round, was 20 out of 77 in round number 2. And that reduced Tarver's punch output from 50 to 39, and he landed only 7. So round 2 clearly belonged to Bad Chad Dawson, the more active, more aggressive fighter.
I would say busier fighter, but Tarver is really putting a lot more pressure on him now. And seemingly, just looking at his facial expression in the corner, his confidence is building up. Meaning Tarver.
Tarver's confidence is growing, you think?
I think so. I look at that. I could see in the corner like his confidence is growing.
Well, that's not going to help his confidence to get ripped by a 1-2 like that.
Well, Dawson is just outworking him. He's playing a numbers game. Sooner or later, he's going to have to start landing shots.
You know, in the rematch with Eric Harding, and that was a much younger Antonio Tarver. But Harding had beaten Tarver in their first fight and looked early like he'd once again had Tarver's number until Tarver turned the fight around with one punch. He's a really big and underrated puncher with the left hand. And he's shooting a variety of lefts at Dawson, looping lefts, short lefts on the inside. It's a dangerous shot.
Well, if he still has the pop to do damage, it's conceivable that Dawson has the chin to cooperate. But that's a pretty big shot from Tarver, and Dawson handled it, stepped back once, and went forward again.
And this is what was the pattern of the first fight. When one guy's doing the punching, the other guy's on defense, just walking in, and then the other will take turn, and they reverse roles again.
Tarver suddenly switches to a conventional stance. Dawson predicted that Tarver would do that at times during the fight.
Pick him up, Chad. Pick him up.
Now Tarver back in his normal southpaw stance.
And Dawson looks so strong, though. I'm still just amazed at the strength that he shows. And this round is totally reverse of the last round. The same round, but reverse characters. A round that I think Tarver's won just about simply outworking Dawson. Just as it was the other way around, the other way, last round.
Certainly after throwing only 39 punches in the second round, Tarver was determined to do more with his hands here in round 3.
As he was in the third round of their first fight.
Maybe his best round in the fight.
All right, free up your hands. Free up your hands. There you go.
Antonio Tarver's gotten married within the past couple of weeks. There's the wife, Denise Tarver. She's one of the group of 16 people who came into the meeting with Antonio yesterday, and she can come back anytime.
Okay, don't look for the big one. If he's giving you something, just keep touching until you find the opening. Okay? Let's go, baby. Let's get back putting the pressure on him. Don't let him walk to you like that. Okay, hard jabs.
Move your feet, he can't touch you.
Familiar figure of Buddy McGirt
if he's walking straight in, don't grab him
in the corner, and you can see that.
Hands out, mouthpiece.
Well, I didn't catch the graphic. Went away too fast. CompuBox numbers through 3. Dawson 36 out of 165, and Tarver has thrown 165 punches, but has landed only 16 by CompuBox count. A 10% connect percentage, not very good. Harold, how do you have it through 3?
Look at you. I got a 2 rounds to 1. 29-28, Bad Chad Dawson. Jim, there's no question that he won rounds 1 and 2. He did just what you see in there. Combinations, getting off first, the hardest shots, walking Antonio Tarver down, backing him up, just not punching him. But in round 3, I thought Chad Dawson just took the round off. Tarver touched him enough to steal the round. 2-1, Chad Dawson.
Dawson acknowledges that he was cautious in the first fight, says that if he gets Tarver in trouble here and feels like he has him going, he will take risks to try to score the knockout, which would galvanize more public support. Here in round 4, it looks as though he's thinking aggressively again.
He's thinking aggressively. His punching power and strength and youth overall, it just seems to be too much. And going down the stretch, I really don't think that physically Antonio's going to be able to hold him off.
You know, Dawson does not have a great outside the ring story, or at least not an unusual one. He's not a big knockout puncher. There are no big name opponents for him at light heavyweight. For him to become a star, he's going to have to continue dominating opponent after opponent. And to really become a star, he's going to have to do maybe even a little more than what he's done.
This is what you spoke about on camera prior to the fight, Max. How does he prove that he's the best in a vapid division? How does he galvanize public support to get fights with other star fighters outside that division? Can he lure a Joe Calzaghe to come back? Seems unlikely.
Well, this isn't going to do it, although he's fighting well. When I said he's inconsistent, I was really referring to the second half of fights where he seems to either lose focus or fatigue.
I don't think that's going to be the problem tonight. I think his focus and determination is just tremendous tonight. And I think that maybe he looks like he just seems to be so much stronger in this fight than he was before.
Hard left hand. Tarver momentarily stunned. Dawson with a left hand lead over the top, clocked and clean.
Yeah, but it's too much power. I mean, Tarver's power, strict punches has nowhere near the power of Dawson's.
Good body shot by Dawson, followed by another right hook upstairs.
And there you see Dawson's kind of cautious temperament. He really did hurt Tarver, but he was cautious. He didn't just run into Tarver, because Tarver can punch, and a hurt fighter with a big punch is a dangerous fighter. But that kind of sensibility leads to a lot of decision wins.
Tarver landed a good left hand over the top. Dawson countered it with a left up and under. Another hard right hand lands for Tarver, and Dawson again chases Tarver back. Time! Pretty good round.
Would have been nice to see another 30 seconds of it.
Take a nice deep breath. Nice deep breath.
Nice slow
Okay.
breath.
Nice deep breath.
You got Dawson?
Okay, T. Keep touching. Now listen, what you got to do with this guy? You got to stand your ground with this guy and break his momentum. You understand?
Box numbers showed you it was a terrific round for Dawson, who landed 25 punches in the round. That's a high number. Here's where they went. 9 of them on the chin or to the face of Tarver. 5 punches to the outside of Tarver's head. 3 of them with the right hand and 2 with the left hand. And then mixing the body attack downstairs, 7 punches to the left side of Tarver's ribcage and 4 punches to the right side. So pretty evenly distributed across Tarver's body, the attack from Bad Chad Dawson. 17 of Dawson's 25 connected punches in the round were power shots. And remember, power shots, anything other than a jab. Body punches are power shots. Crosses are power shots. Hooks are power shots. Uppercuts are power shots. Dawson throws all those punches. He's very much improving over the course of the past couple of years as a combination puncher.
Yes, I think that overall he realizes that he just boxing is not going to do it with Tarver, so he's just going in and just going to he's trying to just be physical with Tarver tonight.
He's starting to take some more risks in the last round and a half. With greater risk is greater reward, at least with the boxing public. But it is a risk. I mean, Tarver's a puncher.
But I think the risk is good. I think Tarver's punches are too wide, they're looping too much, and they're losing the steam somewhere on them, whereas Dawson's punches are much more accurate and compact. So even if he trades with Tarver, I think he has the advantage because his punches are way more powerful.
The big change in the last 4 minutes, to which Max alluded there, is they're trading punches now. No longer does one man punch while the other watches. Suddenly we have exchanges, and none of this happened during the first 12-round fight last fall. And I think we suddenly have exchanges because that hard left hand by Chad Dawson has shown Antonio Tarver that he needs to get moving if he's going to be in this fight.
And incidentally, Chad told us in our fighter meeting yesterday he did not want to go toe-to-toe with Antonio Tarver. So Tarver maybe has lured Chad into the kind of fight he wanted. here still in the first half of the fight.
Now let's see if he can land the counter shot the way he did against Roy Jones.
Let him go, Chad. Let him go. Punch it out. Punch it out. Hands are free.
Excellent uppercut with the left hand by Chad Dawson.
We have a real fight here over the last couple rounds.
And Tarver has got a good chin. He's never been knocked out. In fact, I mean, seldom have I ever saw him even in trouble. But it's turned out to be a fight.
And Dawson's trying to impose his youth here.
Yes.
Maybe that's playing into Tarver's hands, but he's the faster guy. He's the more energetic fighter, and he's trying to prove it.
When Tarver was clearly physically incapacitated against Bernard Hopkins, some ringside observers thought that Hopkins could have gone for the knockout. In a mark of either respect or innate caution, Bernard chose to coast to an easy decision.
But keep that jab on him, because he can't do nothing when you pump that jab, all right? Keep him going backwards and nice and relaxed. Watch out for the uppercut. Keep that good defense up and keep going underneath. Bring it underneath and keep turning him. When you close, turn him.
Don't start to push.
Come on.
Push with your body. Push with your body. He's going to push.
And when he lean on you, just turn him.
Seconds out. Seconds out.
This may be the biggest clean punch of the entire night with this left uppercut by Tarver right there. It's a great shot right between the gloves. And both guys have great defense, so it's very hard to get any clean punches in tonight by either one of the fighters on each other.
By CompuBox count, however, that uppercut was one of only 9 punches Tarver landed in the 5th round while throwing 62. Dawson also was counted with 62 attempted punches. He landed 21. So certain patterns that emerged in the first fight continue. One of them being that Dawson is the more accurate puncher, lands at a significantly higher rate.
Let him go. Let him go. Punch it out.
I see a subtle change in Dawson in this fight from recent previous fights, in that he's playing defense a little differently. It seems as though his intention is to land his punches, and defensively, as opposed even to earlier in the fight, Jim, he's setting up shots. He's letting Tarver move his hands in order to counter, to land his shots, not simply to play defense.
He's fighting as a much more seasoned fighter, and as you said, he's really imposing his youth, as you were saying earlier, Max. He's using his youth and his strength on the man, placing his punches well. Where before he was a busier fighter, but not so well in terms of placing the punches. He's fighting a different fight this time.
Well, one element in being able to mount effective offense is, do you trust your chin? And Dawson seems to be showing us that he's a little bit more trusting of his own ability to take shots.
And maybe he's felt Antonio's punches and don't feel that they're that bad.
terms of how this rates so far against his performance in the first fight against Tarver, I think it's fair to say that Tarver's more motivated for this fight. Could very well be his last fight on a sort of big stage, at least.
Yeah, Tarver's fighting a much more determined fight this fight than the last fight.
Well, as he said to us yesterday, I seem to have to be in this position in order to fight at my best. Question, what position? Answer, my back is against the wall.
Good work, baby. I need that jab pumping. Don't forget that jab. Good sitting down on your punches. Bending your legs. You okay? Yep. Okay. All right. Keep sitting down on them shots. All right. Stepping around. Keep stepping around. That's all you got to do. Step around. Nice and relax. Nice and relax. I need more of the jabs. All right. More double, triple. All right. And move your head. And don't forget your defense, man. You're lagging a little bit. All right. Bring that defense hard.
Hey, listen, you're in good shape, baby. Okay?
You know you're in good shape, T.
And you know you can fight all night. We got 6 more rounds. Let's go out there. All right, make it a dog fight, baby.
They don't have to be hard, baby. Just
okay? Stand your ground, Antonio. Get up under those shots. Okay? And when you're inside, just touch them downstairs. When you start to bleed, you crack them.
CompuBox numbers through 6 rounds. Chad Dawson, 100 out of 365. And Antonio Tarver, 43 out of 341. Remember, in their first fight, Tarver threw 246 more punches than Dawson, averaging about 20 more punches per round. Here, Tarver is only throwing the same number of punches that Dawson throws. Harold, how do you have it through 6?
Okay, Jim, 59, 55, 5 rounds to 1. Big Chad Dawson. Jim, he's backing him up constantly. He's getting off first. He throws 3, 4, 5 punches at a time. I mean, he's just taking it to him, and overall doing a heck of a lot more damage, without doubt. Just as you see there, he doubled the right jab, and that's what he's been doing all night. Backing him up, taking it to him, landing the cleaner, hardest shots. I think they're both bleeding from the mouth, by the way, Jim. 5 to 1, Chad Dawson.
If, in fact, this is to be Antonio Tarver's last appearance on one of the sport's biggest stages, he's had a fascinating career.
Yeah, I was just saying that he's fighting a very good fight, I think. I'm looking at considering such a brilliant young fighter. His defense has been pretty good, too. Even though he gets hit a few times, it's very difficult for Dawson to hit him with clean shots, though. And as soon as Dawson takes a break, Antonio's trying to take control over the fight again.
Antonio's always had a high boxing IQ. Presented a difficult defensive target for fighters, and I think his record in rematches is testament to his ability to adjust.
Free up, go.
Had a very long amateur career, stretched his amateur career so that he could go to the Olympics at a relatively advanced age.
He's fighting in Dawson, a guy in his prime, who holds a dominant win against the reigning cruiserweight champion of the world, 1 Division North.
Tomas Adamek.
Tarver's landed some good left-hand shots here.
Landed a left hand inside, and Dawson shakes his head as if to say, you haven't hurt me. At that time, Dawson's right knee buckled momentarily as Tarver was landing an inside shot, and now Dawson comes back with a flurry of his own punches.
This turned out to be a much, much better fight than probably anyone expected. I know than I expected.
And Dawson just showed Tarver something. Sometimes when an older fighter makes a stand like that against a younger fighter and has his way a little bit, and the younger fighter continues to fight hard, it can take some of the wind out of the older fighter's sails.
I need to chin down, Chad. All right, I need to chin down. You okay? All I need is a chin down, baby. That's all I need. All right?
One jab.
I need the jabs. Don't forget the jabs. I want you to box smart. Box smart now, okay?
Because it's usually going into a shell. But you gotta keep when he starts punching, stand your ground.
We winning?
Yes, but you gotta fight this son of a bitch.
You're winning, but you got to keep the pressure on you.
Take it now, right?
Here we see Antonio Tarver land the left hand shot that really hurt Dawson, I think, for a few seconds. And then you see him follow through with a great flurry of punches from all angles.
Seconds out, seconds out, seconds out.
It was after that shake of the head that Tarver succeeded in landing a punch that momentarily buckled Dawson's right knee, but it was immediately following that Dawson decided he needed to make an aggressive statement and came back fighting, as Max Kellerman described to you. CompuBox numbers in that round: Tarver 20 out of 67 to Dawson 17 out of 66. First time in the fight that Tarver landed more punches than did Dawson. 10 of those connects to Tarver in the final minute of the round. Well, one thing you might expect from a 40-year-old fighter is that he fights in spurts.
Free up your hands.
And Antonio Tarver produced in round 3 and round 7 significantly different energy levels than at any other time in the fight. In round 8 now, he's receded back to the energy level that he showed in the other rounds that he lost.
And I think that has something to do with the way Dawson responded at the end of the last round.
Antonio can land good punches the same as Dawson, but it's just so much energy and excitement is created with Dawson because of the speed and the strength that he has. So his punches make you think that he's landing sometimes and doing more damage, where Tarver's landing sometimes just as much, but he just doesn't have that snap, the power in it, all the speed.
Dawson showing pretty good defensive skills, making Tarver miss for the last 30 or 40 seconds as he carefully picks his own spots. Now there's a good left hand by Antonio Tarver. Set it up with a quick jab, came right over the top.
Again, Dawson's reaction, not to be reckless, he keeps his hands up, but it's to start to pressure Tarver immediately.
Break, 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 come out clean, come out clean, come out clean. 5 seconds.
By the way, Robert Byrd doesn't get as much run as some of the other refs around here, but he's very good. He has uneventful fights.
He's doing a good job, and he's staying out of the fight.
And for the next 4 rounds, you got to make it a dogfight. You understand me?
You got to make it a dogfight.
You got to make it a dogfight. You out jabbing this guy. Double, triple jab. Stop looking for the left hand. Okay? Give him a nice deep breath, Antonio. We need these next 4 rounds, baby.
And you look at the CompuBox numbers there, showing the significant difference in landed punches between Dawson and Tarver. And here once again is a look at where Dawson's punches have landed throughout the fight. 53 on the face, 56 body shots. That means that he is liberally mixing the body in with his attacks to the head. Only 6 punches landing to the right side of Tarver's head, meaning that Dawson is far more prolific and effective with his right hook than he is with his left hand. Makes sense. He's a natural right-hander fighting with his stronger hand in front.
Free up your hand. No. Hit him behind the head. Don't hit him behind the head.
Younger fighter once again stepping up the energy level and putting Tarver on the defensive.
All right, stop. Step out. Let's go.
Dawson is looking much stronger, much more impressive, but for just clean blows, he's maybe landing 1 out of every maybe 10, but that's enough when the other guy's not throwing anything.
He landed a solid right hook there. Now Dawson momentarily with his back against the ropes, spins away.
This fight has a ways to go yet. Dawson should be ahead, but if he was hoping to create the kind of scintillating performance that would lure someone like Joe Calzaghe, creates enough demand to lure a guy like Calzaghe out of retirement, or to create demand for a Bernard Hopkins fight, he's not doing that. He's not that kind of fighter. He's going to have to make his own mark. The quickest ticket to stardom is a win against a legendary name like a Hopkins. Don't think that's going to happen. He's going to have to make his own mark simply by being excellent over time and winning fights like this consistently.
You know, I agree with you on everything, but what's making it so difficult is the fact that Tarver is fighting one hell of a fight tonight himself. I mean, still a guy who's never been knocked out, very seldom ever saw him even hurt, solid amateur background, and very determined in this fight, regardless of what his skill level may be. So it's Dawson did what he was supposed to do, but Tarver is just an extremely determined fighter tonight.
Yeah, but you footnoted skill level, whatever his skill level might be. And what appears to me as we watch it, Emmanuel, is that Dawson's skill level is higher. He lands more consistently, and as you say, his punches create more flash and dash.
Tarver just does not want to cooperate tonight and let him have the spectacular performance which he's wanting to have, in which, as you said, Max, he really needs to create the excitement, because he's not getting it. He's not creating excitement, which would say, wow, he's got to fight Calzaghe if he comes back. You know,
and yet,
he's not doing that.
And yet he is showing the mentality of a real fighter, Dawson. He's not a big knockout puncher. He's not an overly aggressive fighter, but he is a real fighter. The way he's responded to Tarver when Tarver has landed, and the way he's taking the fight to Tarver.
No, the job, as you pointed out, Max, is for him to gradually, incrementally develop a following that makes it necessary for other fighters who don't have to fight him right now to go there and match up with him.
Eventually.
You're not letting your hands go, baby. You're giving it to him.
Keep that round off.
No,
we can't afford that.
You can't afford that.
Okay. Listen to me. Keep stepping to him with the jab. At the end of every round, he's going to try to steal it. So once he starts those flurries, drop something on him and stop him from punching. Okay, he's fighting in spurts. I gotta get down. Okay, you gotta get your jab working. You're looking for the one punch.
Okay, there's no tomorrow, T. This is your future, right here. Okay, here it is.
Make it easy, man.
Stop looking for the one punch.
Just stay touching him.
Okay.
Here you see a typical punch of a young fighter just forcing his, using his strength to just crush his way through on his opponent. And that's the typical stuff he's doing tonight is punches like this here. Using his youth and his strength.
Well, by CompuBox count, he has more than doubled Tarver in the power punches landed category. 107 for Dawson, 51. And as you saw from the earlier graphic, Dawson's output has gone up here from the first fight. Tarver's has shrunk considerably. Harold, how do you have it through 9?
Okay, Jim, 7 rounds to 2. 88, 83, fair Chad Dawson. Jim, I got to tell you, in rounds 8 and 9, if Antonio Tarver would have landed half the punches that he missed, he probably would have knocked out Chad Dawson. I mean, if defense is 25% of scoring, you got to give Chad Dawson credit because he slipped a million punches. He really gets under a lot of Antonio Tarver's shots. In the meantime, he's doing a lot more damage with that right jab, constantly getting off first, backing a guy up, throwing 2, 3, 4 at a time, just like you saw there, and overall outworking him. 7-2, Dawson.
You know, Dawson said he wouldn't want to fight Glenn Johnson in a rematch unless he absolutely had to. Tip of the cap to Glenn Koff Johnson, who is, as I mentioned, one of the best, least appreciated fighters in boxing. He credits Dawson does, with preparing him to fight Antonio Tarver. And that might be the most logical opponent in the near future for Chad Dawson, a rematch with Glenn Johnson. See if there has been improvement there against an aggressive fighter like Johnson.
You have to strap on your work boots to fight Glenn Johnson. It's never going to be easy.
And his approach is not essentially defensively oriented as Tarver's frequently is. Even though Tarver is throwing his hands here, he still plays a lot of defense.
Don't let him back into the fight. Keep the jab on.
Harold Letterman's right on the nose. Chad Dawson does an excellent job, particularly in the last 3 rounds, of hiding from Antonio Tarver's punches. He's there, somewhat in plain sight, but Tarver has trouble finding him when he releases, and there's a good right hook by Dawson. Five-punch combination by Dawson. 4 to the body and 1 upstairs. Tarver gets in a jab.
20 seconds, Chad. All right, your hands free, guys. Punch, get out. Punch, get out. There you go.
Let's go, Antonio. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
It's been a couple of rounds now since Antonio Tarver landed a threatening left hand, and more it appears that's what it would take to put him back into the fight.
You're giving rounds away. You're giving rounds away. He ain't touching you, but you're not throwing, you're not firing back. You're making him miss, but you're not making him pay. All right? You're making him miss, you make him pay. All right? Take a drink. Come on, baby. Come on, Chad. Let's go to work, baby. Come on, man.
Step it up. You got to knock him out, okay?
Antonio, we need these next 2 rounds. We need them big.
Gotta make these 2 rounds.
Okay, we don't need a knockout, but we need these next 2 rounds.
Make them happen.
6 minutes.
You know you ain't shaking.
Thanks, buddy.
6
No problem.
minutes of pressure, baby.
Nice deep breath.
We got to knock this guy. Let your hands go.
Give me this. Give me
Yeah,
this.
I ain't seen you go to the body yet. Okay.
Okay, lay down. Lean your head down. Lean your head down 1 second. Okay, listen to me. Stop looking for the one shot. We need combination. We need these next 2 rounds, Antonio.
The crowd in the joint at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. Not the cafe. Cafe's next door.
From the way their corners sounded, it sounded like Chad Dawson's corner, Eddie Mustafa Muhammad, wants more of Dawson, wants to see Dawson win these rounds by wider margins so that there's no ambiguity when it comes to the scorecards where it looks like this is heading. And it sounds like Buddy McGirt, he said we don't need a knockout, but maybe he doesn't want Antonio to try to force it, just win the rounds, and maybe a knockout will come.
I think both cornermen gave their fighters good advice. I think Eddie Mustafa was right on the money when he told Dawson, you're making him miss, but you're not making him pay. So, you know, and he's not missing all those punches. I thought that Tarver landed a decent amount of right jabs the last round. You know, even though Dawson may be getting wrapped up in defense, it's still you don't score points off of defense.
Now, Dawson may be thinking of the difficulties he has had finishing fights, slowing in the last 3 rounds against Adamek, against Glenn Johnson notably, and even in the last 2 rounds against Tarver last fall. And it seemed as though he consciously limited his punch count in the 9th and 10th rounds to save something for the finish. And Eddie Mustafa Muhammad just wants him to go fight. Quit thinking so much. Tarver. They've been few and far between in these last couple of rounds.
I think he's been landing the last 2 rounds. Tarver's been landing a lot of jabs. His jabs don't create that excitement because, you know, the limber type guy doesn't have that stiffness, but he still has been landing a lot of jabs these last 2 rounds.
A round like this is what I meant by when I said Dawson's not always consistent and has these kind of moments in fights that make his grade something less than an A.
Well, and particularly toward the end of fights. As much as anything, this appears to be his Achilles heel. A tendency to slow down in the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th rounds. Seems to happen in all of his big assignments. And there's a terrific combination by Dawson that brings him out of his lethargy.
He's loading up on power shots, but overall still, just if you want to just pure punches landed, Tarver's won this round. Unless he can knock Tarver down.
I'm not so sure. The right hook that Dawson landed a moment ago was much bigger than any other punch that Tarver has landed in the round. Tarver believes it. He throws his arm skyward.
If I was judging, I would give it to Tarver.
Take a deep breath.
Nice deep breath. Put your legs out. Stretch your legs out.
Take a deep breath.
Okay, champ. Champ, you need this round.
We need it bad, T.
We need this round.
It'll come out.
Let your hands go, all right? Chin down, don't get careless. Let your hands go. That's all you gotta do, all right? Both hands, all right? I need this round.
Don't look for the knockout, score the points. You got it? Combinations, you'll catch him in the blend. Now look, he's looking for the uppercut. Give me that hook.
Look at this round. Okay, let's go to work. Last round, finish strong. I need this round. I need this round.
The Hard Rock of Las Vegas.
CompuBox numbers in the 11th round. CompuBox saw Dawson landing 23 out of 70 and Tarver 19 out of 89. Entering the final round, CompuBox sees Dawson with a 193 to 107 landed punches edge. Harold Letterman agreed with Emanuel Stewart and gave the 11th round to Tarver. But I believe that's only the 3rd round that Tarver has won on Harold's card.
I agree. Not the same here. I give him only about 2 rounds. I think he's been a good competitive fight, but I think Dawson's won the fight.
If he goes through the 12th round. He was downed in the 12th by Adamek. Got up and went on to win the fight.
A knockdown by Tarver here would make the scoring interesting.
It's a good point, Max.
Dawson knocked Tarver down in the 12th round of their first fight.
A knockdown by Dawson would make the scoring less interesting, I think.
Let him up. Come on.
And looking for improvement in Dawson. I mean, maybe he is what he is. He's 26 years old now. He's been world class for a while. And maybe he's a B+ fighter in a C division.
I think Tarver's fighting a good fight tonight, though. I think he's fighting a pretty good. Tarver just maybe a little bit more than he expected. As I said earlier, he's going to have to fight a better fight, because Tarver's going to come in and fight a much more determined fight. And I just think Tarver's just a little bit better tonight than he may not look at it pressing the way he does, but still, he's not the easiest guy to fight.
Well, what's the significance of that, Emmanuel? I mean, Tarver's going to lose this fight. It's probably the last time that we see him at this level. This is about how good Dawson is. Are you saying that Dawson deserves more compliments because Tarver has fought really well?
No, he's fought good, but still, there's things missing in Dawson right now. The one thing he's going to stick to his jab. He's led his last 2 rounds. Everything has been just loading up on power punches.
Question is, do you see an X factor in Dawson, which tells you that he would be a real threat to be Joe Calzaghe or Bernard Hopkins if he could get a fight against one of those 2 guys?
He's young and athletic, and that usually bothers older fighters. But if you are a B+ fighter in the C division, you can have a nice career. You just might not be a star unless another young fighter can come and distinguish himself in the same division. And you can get a rivalry going. At 168 pounds, there's Carl Frosch, who, should Dawson and Frosch make a fight in the next year or so, be a very interesting matchup, and I think hardcore boxing fans would be interested.
How about the painfully slow progress of former Olympic gold medal winner Andre Ward?
Absolutely.
You're still wondering if Andre Ward will ever become a marquee figure in the sport.
Meanwhile, it looks like Dawson just won the rematch. It seems to me by about the same margin that he won the first fight. considering Tarver fought a little better, maybe it's a little more impressive. But I think we know what we have in Chad Dawson, a very good fighter in his physical
Chad's
prime.
going to come down to skill, will nuts and guts, baby. Why you sweating?
Harold Letterman has it 116 to 112. That wild hunch, that's going to be a popular number. And he gave Tarver the 11th and 12th rounds both. The three official judges will score it. Alan Davis of Canada, 2 title fights, no notable fights. If we knew who he was, we would tell you so. Dwayne Ford of Nevada, well-known veteran of the sport, had Manny Pacquiao beating Juan Manuel Marquez by 3 points in their second fight. That's a wider margin than most ringsiders would have given Pacquiao in that victory. Patricia Jarman, 69 title fights, one of 5 out of 6 judges who had Jermaine Taylor beating Bernard Hopkins in their first 2 fights, or their 2 fights here in Las Vegas. Now let's go to Michael Buffer to find out who won this one.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 12 rounds here at the Hard Rock Casino Hotel Resort of Las Vegas, we go to the scorecards. Alan Davis scores about 116 to 112. Dwayne Ford, 117 to 111. Patricia Marsh-Jarman, 117 to 111. All to the winner by unanimous decision. Still undefeated and still IBO light heavyweight champion of the world, Chad Dawson.
So all 3 judges see Dawson winning either 8 or 9 of the 12 rounds in the fight. And here's a look at final CompuBox numbers. Total punches, Dawson landing 88 more, throwing 72 fewer, and Tarver's margin in thrown punches came from the 11th and 12th rounds when Dawson slowed virtually to a halt, but ultimately Tarver landing only 16% by CompuBox count, and Dawson doubling that at 31%. And while he landed more power punches as well, he had a significantly higher connect percentage than Tarver in the jab category, landing 21 more and throwing 59 fewer. And a look at Punch Zone tells you where Dawson's punches went during the fight and where Tarver's punches went during the fight. And one thing you can see that makes for a significant difference is that Chad Dawson landed 83 body shots to only 21 for Antonio Tarver. Tarver focusing upstairs as he tried to land a big left hand that would change the fight, and Dawson simply working Tarver from all angles as he stayed busier and stayed ahead. And now let's go to Max Kellerman with the winner, Chad Dawson.
The whole Dawson family. Chad, congratulations on a dominant win. It came against a guy who's not always so easy to look good against in a rematch. How do you think you did?
I mean, I knew I won the round, but I felt a little out of my element. Antonio Tarver fought a hell of a fight this time. He came back. He said he would come back stronger. He came back stronger. I give him that. I mean, it was a hell of a fight. I got up in the early rounds, and in the later rounds, he came on. He tried to come on a little strong. I mean, he was throwing punches. I was catching most of them. They were like arm punches. They really.
How do you mean out of your element?
I mean, in the sense that Antonio Tarver did a good job wrestling me. He said he would come in better shape, and he did. And he put up a hell of a fight. I mean, he definitely took me off my game plan.
He did seem to fight a better fight than he did in the first fight. Do you think you showed anything new today?
No, I don't. I mean, I don't know. I gotta go and watch the tape. I mean, like I said, my hat's off to Antonio Tarver. He came back. He fought a hell of a fight. He definitely had me change my game plan. He came forward. He pushed the fight like he said he would, and my hat's off to him.
Okay, Chad, who would you like to fight coming up? You've said that you don't want to fight Glenn Johnson in a rematch unless you absolutely have to, but he might be the second best light heavyweight in the world right now.
Yeah, I mean, whoever it is, bring it on. I mean, I definitely believe in my skills, and I believe in everything that I do. I work hard in the gym. I work hard outside of the gym. I mean, so whatever HBO has for me, I'm ready.
It seems like, and you have won against the reigning cruiserweight champion of the world. You've now beaten Antonio Tarver twice. You got a decision in a close, really good fight against Glenn Johnson. But in all those fights, it seems that while you dominate the fight early, it turns into a closer fight later. What do you think happens in the second half of fights with you?
I don't know. I have to go back and look at the tape. Me and my trainer sit down and go over it. And we'll find out what it is, and whatever it is, I'm sure we can correct it. And next fight, I definitely will show improvement in that area.
Congratulations, Chad, on a good fight and a good win against a good opponent.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jim?
All right, so we came here to see Chad Dawson because he's good, and he's the #1 light heavyweight in the world, and we had not shown him to you before. A lot of people in the sport were not terribly intrigued about a rematch with Antonio Tarver. It turned out to be something of the same fight as the first time around, and now the question remains, where does Dawson go? At 168 pounds, the guys who've been winning recently, Carl Frosch and Michael Kessler, not big names in the USA, and there's no giant reason for either of them to move up and fight Dawson at this moment. How can he avoid fighting a rematch with Glenn Johnson at this point?
The way it looks, I don't think he can, because there is no one out there that I see the public is interested in him fighting but Johnson. Not that Johnson is a great fighter, but what he did to Roy Jones and the 2 fights he had with Tarver, plus what he did to him when he fought him before, means he's the most logical guy to fight. Then other than that, the light heavyweight division is just void of any qualified fighters for him to fight. The other stop is, like you said, it's 168, and that doesn't look likely right away.
So we'll be watching Dawson for a while if we're going to continue to cover the story of his attempt to migrate beyond his current circumstances as the best in a vapid division and find big fights. It remains to be seen whether that will happen. Well, what a thrill it was for us to begin the evening by showing you again what you've heard people talking about at the water cooler all week, Manny Pacquiao's sensational knockout of Ricky Hatton. We've got a lot more coming for the rest of the year on HBO. Thanks for being with us tonight. May 19th, you'll see the next installment of Real Sports with Bryant Gumbel, featuring an inside look at one of the most dangerous sports in the world, professional bull riding. And if you missed any part of tonight's telecast, you can catch it again on HBO tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. and Tuesday morning at 12:35 a.m. You can also see it on HBO 2, Sunday afternoon at 4:30, Tuesday night at 11:30 p.m. Next on HBO, stay tuned for Fred Claus. And now for our entire HBO crew. I'm Jim Lampley, saying so long from Las Vegas, Nevada.
This has been a presentation of HBO Sports.